Right. Good morning. So we're going to talk about behavioral-based engagements over the next like 20 minutes. But I'm going to break this up into two kind of distinct key takeaways that I want to make sure everyone gets out of this conversation. So we're going to talk about behavioral-based engagements, and when it comes down to it, leveraging behaviors that your customers are doing and identifying which behaviors are kind of leading indicators of success or failure is huge, right? Because if you understand which customers are eliciting behaviors that might be a leading indicator of failure, you get a chance to proactively reach out and address those. Now, when you do identify which customers are essentially failing, it's how you engage and the messages that you use to engage a customer that drive the right behavioral adjustments are key. So we're going to talk a little bit about absolutely behavioral-based engagements. And in fact, we're going to talk about how Acton uses Totango to drive some of that and quite frankly, some of the challenges we ran into and some of the huge successes that we've had. Hopefully you guys can learn from and take and apply in your own organizations. But I'm also going to talk about the second key takeaway, and we're going to start with this over the next 5-10 minutes of leveraging the marketing team that you have inside your organizations to make sure that the messages that you're using when you do reach out to customers that are showing behaviors of failure are eliciting the right responses. You're getting them to take action on the call to actions. So that's key. So back to the title of this, the CMO and the CCO boost adoption as today's power couple. And that's a running theme that we're going to talk about for the next 20 minutes. So my name is Matt Dillon. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Acton. Acton is a marketing automation platform, a SaaS company. We build really a broad suite of marketing capabilities that is primarily targeted at the mid-market to enterprise. But we do have a lot of customers that are emerging and small businesses that use our platform to help grow their businesses as well. Okay. So starting with the CMO, and I want to kind of set a little bit of just background why we're going to talk about this. Just before I get in, let me kind of poll the audience here. How many of you here are on the post-sale side of the organization, the success side of the organization? I would imagine almost the vast majority. Okay, 96%, all right? This is actually really important to walk through over the next probably 5-10 minutes before we even get into behavioral-based engagements, because you need to understand a little bit around the CMO and the background. And really our job as leaders in the post-sale side of things is to influence change across the organization in ways that can help drive customer adoption and customer success. Part of that is influencing other departments, and more importantly, the CMO, the marketing department, when it comes to leveraging the messaging, leveraging their skill sets to try to make sure when you proactively outreach to customers that are eliciting poor behaviors, you're doing it with the right messaging. So I'm going to spend a couple slides here just talking about what we're seeing in the marketing side of things, what we're seeing from a CMO. And it's really to arm you as you go back to your organizations and have conversations across your organization, more importantly with the marketing team, around why you guys should be working more closely together. Right? Historically, we see the marketing team focus a lot on the sales team, and this is actually running into our first slide. Historically, the marketing team focuses on aligning with the sales team, supporting the sales cycle, and really prospecting for new customers, getting the brand out there and things like that. Whether it's use cases or facilitating the sales process, the sales journey, getting the messaging out to prospects to elicit their behavioral changes in the buying process. A lot of similarities for what you need to do on the post-sale side of things too. So really looking at, again, how you can actually leverage a marketing team to align with the post-sale side of things and leverage that from behavioral messaging standpoint is key. So again, the CMO has traditionally focused on sales-related engagements, but we're seeing a significant shift in the last decade or so. And that shift in what the marketing teams generally focus on has been driven by three kind of key things. And one is, at the end of the 90s and early 2000s, we saw a significant shift from on-premise focus for technology companies to cloud-based solutions. And more importantly, we saw a shift from that big upfront sale to subscription-based models, which has been incredibly powerful, but it shifts the focus from trying to do, from a marketing perspective again, from trying to focus on getting that initial sale and influencing buyers in the buyer's journey and focusing purely on that initial sale to getting customers to essentially stick with you, right? maintain that adoption, maintain that customer life cycle, that journey throughout the lifespan of the customer with you. That was a huge shift. The second two are a little bit more towards the marketing side of things, but we definitely see in terms of marketing companies that we work with, as there were so many new channels of engagement for prospects and for customers. The marketing team has to look at different channels. It's not just emails, it's not just print media, but it's social streams and things like that in the web. A number of different channels out there. And then peer-to-peer is huge. So oftentimes you can't have a direct relationship and a direct influence to that prospect. It's the peers that influence the buyer's decision. And so when it comes to advocates, and for what we do on the post-sale side of things and driving the success of customers, when it comes to getting advocates, advocates are huge, not just on the post-sale side of things, but obviously on the sales side of things too, and influencing the buyer's decision. So enter the CCO, enter the customer success side of things, especially in this shift's a little bit more cloud-driven engagement, subscription models. There's been a huge focus on driving the success of customers and maintaining that relationship. It's not just that initial sale again. In a subscription model, it's really making sure that those customers stick with you, continue to see the ROI out of the platform, and really are advocates for your brand. And that's what we all focus on. You know, the number of hands that shot up in here is 96, 98% of people in here focus on the post-sale side of things. This is what we do. We focus on helping customers get the value out of the platform. We focus on the relationships. We build trusted relationships with our customers. And essentially, we build advocates for our brand. And it's something that the CMOs and the marketing departments are starting to take notice in. Because the alignment that we bring to the table is we understand what our customers are doing and the behaviors and what drives success and what drives failures. And we understand how to drive advocates and turn customers into advocates, which if you look back on the previous slide in terms of, jumping ahead. If you look back on the previous slide in terms of the peer-to-peer, having those advocates is huge. And so when we start bringing in our role into the organization and we start influencing change across the organization, we start partnering with other departments, it's widely impactful. This is a quote that I think really rings true to the message I'm trying to convey around understanding the marketing side of your organization and how you can influence change. This is back from Forrester in 2015. It really talks about how the marketing department has to start looking at the entire customer life cycle. Again, not that initial purchase. And that's where we as post-sale leaders come into play and can really partner with that marketing department, that CMO, to help make sure we're driving the right engagements. Just as a thought, or as a poll here, how many customers in here, how many of you are B2B companies versus B2C? It's a great amount. How many are B2C? Like predominantly B2C. Okay, small amount. So this actually rings really true to the audience as well. So what this ends up with, and this is kind of coming full circle, so as you go back to your organizations, when you leave this summit, there's a ton of things you're going to take out of this summit. One of the things is we as leaders need to influence change inside our organization. It's not just focusing on what we do as a customer success manager or what we do as a support rep, but it's what we can do as a company to drive the success of our customers. And so taking kind of the perspective of the marketer and understanding how you can go back to your organizations and have a conversation with the CMO or a conversation with your VP of marketing to talk about the power of aligning those two organizations and messaging is key. Now, to bring it full circle, the power is the post-sale side of the organization understands the behavioral activities of the customer, has a pulse on the customer base, understands what's driving success and what's driving failures. And you know which customers you need to reach out to. Aligning with the marketing team and leveraging the marketing skill set to make sure that the messaging is on point to get that customer who has poor behaviors to actually take that call to action, click on that email, and do the right things to modify their behavior is critically important. So we're going to get into some of the behavioral things that we're doing at Acton, but I don't want to minimize the importance of making sure you're aligning with your marketing colleagues and partners, because the power of having the marketing department in driving the messaging and really aligning messaging across the board from user group meetings and marketing events and outreach and webinars to targeting the right customers on the post-sale side of things, the segments that need to understand What aspects of the platform aren't they using, and what are the benefits of that platform? How does that align with the features releases that the marketing team is promoting out? How do we make sure that not everybody gets a blast email every single time about a marketing event, but the right customers at the right time get the right message to go to that webinar or to go to that user group meeting? It's really important. So as you talk about engaging customers with the right behavior, make sure you're engaging them with the right message as well. And the combination of these two groups working together is hugely impactful for SaaS-driven companies and subscription model companies. Equally, if not more so, I would argue, in a subscription-based company than the alignment between the marketing team and the sales team. Does that resonate with everybody? Does that make sense? Okay, great. All right. Now let's get into some of the specifics. So what we started to do at Acton about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, is to really look at the customer journey. And this is a very simplified version of what our customer journey is to success at Acton. We have a sales event. We know we need to make sure we welcome those customers after they purchase the platform. We need to make sure that they're aware of, A, what they purchased, B, access to training, access to the platform, get them up to speed right away. But there's a definite transition between the sales process or the sales event into onboarding. So that transition is important. Once we get the customers into onboarding, making sure the customers understand their onboarding experience. At Acton, we give every customer an onboarding manager that works with them. The customer needs to understand who their onboarding manager is, how to engage that onboarding manager, how to engage information that's in Acton University. But we also need to make sure they engage with the community and understand the tools and resources that are available to help that customer be successful. All that has to happen during onboarding. And a lot of what we historically have done has been manually reaching out to our customers to make sure they have this information. The next step is really growth. So there's a lot of things that happen in growth. After you onboard a customer and you graduate them into kind of the real engagement of your platform throughout their life cycle, you need to make sure they're using the platform. You need to make sure the performance and the ROI they're getting out of the platform is there. You have to identify customers that are not engaging with your platform anymore and proactively reaching out to get them to re-engage. All that stuff has to happen in that growth phase. And then there's the renewal event, making sure you reinforce the value of the platform, making sure you reinforce the value they have received from your services, from your platform, for everything. So when it gets to the renewal invoice and the renewal notices that come out, you already know that customer is going to renew. And most importantly, you've probably given them a heads up, whether it's via an automated outreach or a customer success manager reaching out to have a conversation with them 6 months before the renewal, or at least yet 3 months, 2 months before the renewal to confirm they're going to renew. All this stuff has to happen. So when we started kind of looking at, this is at a high level, the success journey at Acton, we started to look at what technologies can help us drive this. And at Acton, we really took a kind of best of breed technology approach. Strategy. We didn't really say we're going to take one technology that drives everything we do and then force our processes onto that one technology. We identified what our need was and purchased a best-of-breed technology to meet that specific need. So if you look at across the bottom, we use Salesforce for our baseline CRM system. We use Acton to drive all of our marketing outreach and marketing activities, obviously. We use Totango to get visibility into what our customers are doing in our platform and, quite frankly, automate that customer engagement process. And we use Zendesk for ticket management and our knowledge base as well. All of those systems share information together really well, and it allows us to really do a best-of-breed platform to drive our business as opposed to letting the technology dictate what we do. So how do we work together with Totango? So what we really did is we took some time to identify what our customer journey was and then identify where we needed that visibility. And that's really where Totango came into play. In terms of understanding the visibility, we had the behavioral information in our platform. We knew what customers were doing on our platform. We didn't necessarily have the visibility into that data, nor the triggers tied to that data to drive engagements for our customer success managers. So Totango was great. So we started putting together what areas did we want to have clear visibility into where our customers were having success and failures. We started developing campaigns to drive that behavior, and then started validating whether or not those campaigns were successful, and went back and reevaluated those campaigns, tweaked those campaigns to ensure we had the performance that we needed. So this is a snapshot of some of the campaigns. This is where we get into some of the guts around why I truly feel behavioral-based engagements are so powerful to any post side of the organization. One of the things that we noticed is when we did our customer journey and we looked at how we were engaging with our customers, when it happened to the sales event to the onboarding event, we did a great job of engaging with our customers. As I mentioned, every single Act-On customer gets a assigned onboarding manager. It's a one-on-one relationship. So during that onboarding period, there is a lot of hand-holding, a lot of making sure our customers are set up for success, a lot of kind of making sure we're helping our customers set up their marketing campaign, setting up their segmentation, that kind of stuff. But once they graduate from onboarding and they go into the extended, success engagement, we did a horrible job, quite frankly, of reaching out. So it almost dropped off, and it dropped off as an organization. So it dropped off the sales rep, who had already sold it, had moved on to the next deal. Even though that account was in their territory, they were focused on the next deal, the next upsell, and the next, whatever. So 3 months into a deal, post-sale deal, the sales reps had very little contact. At that point, the onboarding manager was no longer engaged. And so oftentimes the CSM was consumed with some other activities and would be chasing down the squeaky wheel or the fire of the day or something like that. And so we didn't do a good job of proactively reaching out from a success standpoint either. And so we kind of lost touch with our customers after 3 months. So 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, before we actually re-engaged and asked the customer for, hey, are you going to renew? And oftentimes the customer would say, I haven't heard from you guys for 6 months. What are you talking about? So we started putting together campaigns in our platform that were time-based. And here's a couple examples, right? So 4 months into it, we have a campaign which boosts outbound. Outbound meaning, are the customers really driving outbound engagements to their customers? And it was really difficult for us to just do time-based outreach to our customers that would trigger emails or trigger even a CSM reaching out to a customer to try to get them to re-engage. 6 months into it, campaign performance, based on their marketing campaigns, we would reach out and just do a reevaluation of their performance or send them a snapshot of, here's how your campaigns are performing with some tidbits and information on what they can do to improve performance. Some of these time-based engagements, some were easy, some were hard. Down the bottom, in terms of difficulty, medium difficulty, this was really how hard was it for us to get our customers to engage with us and to take action on the call to action and to change their behavior. If it was literally just time-based engagements, it was really hard to get those customers to identify that they needed to take the actions we were asking them to take. Now take that on the full spectrum to the far right. This is really the first time we started to doing true behavioral-based engagements. It didn't matter how long the customer had been with us. Could be 2 months, could be 4 months, could be 7 months. If they stopped engaging with us, if they stopped logging into the platform, if they stopped using it, we would automatically put them into a drip campaign to show them awareness around, hey, there's value in the platform, your performance, your campaigns are X. Here's what we're doing with the product. We put them into drip campaigns that got them back engaged, and it was widely successful. Like almost a 50% hit rate. That's huge. But it was because we had identified a leading indicator of failure. Quite frankly, it's easy, right? Customers stop logging into your platform. We had customers that would go through onboarding, set up their marketing campaigns, set up their segmentation, set up their drip campaigns, and set it and forget it. And that doesn't really work well in the marketing world, right? You need to kind of look at your campaigns and tweak the messaging and kind of pull some levers and see how you improve your acquisition cost, you improve your performance of the campaigns, all that stuff. Engaging with those customers that kind of had that set it and forget it mentality that would stop logging into our system was huge. So, and this is kind of the tip of the iceberg for us. We are doing a lot more that's going to be focused on actual behavioral-based engagements. So it is customers that they may be logging into the system, but they may not be using a certain aspect of the platform the right way. We want to engage in those ways with those customers. Like this is definitely where we are going next. But it was really interesting for me to see, and keep in mind, this is after 6 weeks. So we purchased Totango almost a year ago, actually. We purchased it in the end of Q2, started implementation towards the end of Q2. We quickly got up and running and ran it across our organization within 30 days, maybe 45 days. which was awesome. So you can think of by the end of last summer, we had it rolled out globally at Acton. Every single customer success manager globally was using Totango within about 45 days, which was really cool. We started with this time-based engagement mentality and saw some significant improvements in how we were reaching out, but it wasn't until we really started doing this behavioral-based engagement, catching the data of the customers that were using our platform, pushing that data into Totango, and truly getting visibility in which customers were showing leading indicators of failure, quite frankly. We started making a significant impact to our customer base. Customer base grew by 12%. The health of our customer base grew by 34%. And that's after we started doing these really behavioral-based outreach and triggered engagements. So this is just a quick kind of snapshot of the campaign dashboard for this that not logged in. So you can see we're targeting users that haven't logged in 30 days. The goal we set was not necessarily to open the email or even click on the call to action. It's whether or not they logged into the system, came back on and started doing things in the platform. That's 50% success rate on getting customers to actually log back in and use our platform, which is huge, but purely because we were reaching out to the right customers at the right time. And part of it's 50% because we're not doing a blanket message to every single customer in our base. We're targeting only those customers who truly need to get back and re-engage with us on the platform. It's been pretty powerful. So, as I mentioned, this is just the tip of the iceberg for us. So, at Acton as a marketing platform, we focus primarily on the marketing user. A lot of the campaigns that we're doing today is targeted towards the marketing user, but it's not just a marketing user that uses our platform. It's the sales users. So we catch, our platform will catch prospects that are on a company's website. And if a prospect is actively on a customer's website, it'll send an alert to the marketing and the sales team like, hey, this is a hot lead. So we have a lot of sales users that are using our platform and leveraging value from a platform. We need to make sure they're using that hot lead sync functionality and taking advantage of it. And the customers that aren't eliciting that behavior, we need to proactively reach out. The same thing with the CSC and the post-sale side of things. We need to make sure customers are, much like I'm talking about, leveraging the power of marketing and the messaging that the marketing team can bring to the table with the post-sale side of things. We need to make sure our customers are doing the same things. So we're going to take a lot of this behavioral-based engagement methodology and strategy and apply it across the entire customer board. And the idea is the messaging and the behaviors are going to be different. The marketing users and the behaviors we're looking for from the marketing users are going to be different from the behaviors we're looking for from the sales users, which are going to be different than the behaviors we're looking for from the CSG or the post-sale side of things. So the behaviors are going to be unique to each one of these. The messages may be a little bit unique too, but the call to action and the desire, the target that we're doing should be all laser focused on driving towards a common goal in that organization of success. And this is where the alignment between, again, it goes back to the power couple, right? The alignment between the CMO and the CCO is critically important because I rely really heavily. I know what our customers are doing. I know which customers are failing. I know which customers are succeeding. I'm not a marketer, right? I rely on the marketing team that is experts on messaging and driving changes in behaviors and things like that. And so if I can identify which users, which companies, and which users in those companies that we need to reach out to and align with the marketing team on how we reach out to those customers and when, hugely impactful for us as a company. And that's our next step. That's what we're doing as a company. So I hope that that gives you a bit of a view into kind of the two key takeaways. Like if you guys aren't influencing change across your organizations, I hope I gave you some tools and some mindsets that you can go in and talk to the marketing department and say, hey, by the way, we know we have a lot of stuff going on the post-sale side of things. We understand the pulse of the customer base. We understand how to drive a customer to be an advocate, and that advocate will help the marketing team drive leads, drive sales, drive things like that. Hopefully you have some tools to go back to your organizations and try to influence some changes where you get some really tight alignment between what the marketing team is doing and what the post-sale team is doing. And that's going to drive alignment of the messaging across the organization from the front side sales team to what the marketing team is doing from a brand awareness standpoint. And quite frankly, what we are doing as success professionals to drive retention and advocacy. That's it.
So thank you very much, Matt. And we don't have much time left for questions, but Matt can run really fast, so you can catch him later and ask questions. I think with this suit, you can't really run.
Yeah, and so I get long-winded when I get excited about things, and this is hugely an exciting topic for me. But please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer questions anytime. My Twitter handle's on there. I think you guys have my email address as well. Happy to help and share some of the experiences from what we're doing with Totango at Acton, and if it's going to help you guys, great.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
And